Hello, everyone. Welcome to our spiritual get together for the month of September, this being the second last meeting for this year. We'll just hold silence for a few seconds so that the hierarchy can join us, and then we'll start the meeting. Thank you. Thank you for yeah. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining our meeting, spiritual meeting for the month of September. The topic that we have chosen is the law of karma and self-abidance. So, first of all, actually, let us understand the law of karma. Everyone understands cause and effect. You see, whenever there is a cause, there is a effect of that. And that's basically from where the law of karma actually, finds its way forward. But what we have got to remember is that at the individual level, whatever our activity is, whether it is in pure form or it is an impure form, whatever the activity is, that is basically what is actually returned back to us, whether it be in this lifetime or it be in a future lifetime. Let's actually take an example. Say you are in a valley, and this valley is surrounded by rocky mountains, right? So if you are at the center of the valley and you say that I love you, you see what happens when that sound actually travels. It echoes back from all directions, and you hear the sound "I love you, I love you, I love you" coming from all directions back to you. The individual who is standing at the center of that valley. Now, on the other hand, if you say that I hate you, what happens is that that same sound is echoed from all directions, and it says, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you. And it comes back again to the individual who is standing at the center and who was the source of this original statement. So, this is basically how the law of karma works. And we have also got to understand that the law of circular motion. You see, when something starts at a certain point, that is after it has, gone to wherever it has gone, taken that full circle, it will come back to that very source from where it started. And one of the things we have to very clearly actually understand that every single life of ours is basically determined, on what is really required for us to grow spiritually, right? And how is that actually determined, that what is required for us to grow spiritually? That is directly linked to this law of karma. Karma means, personal action, right? And basically, whatever you have been undertaking, whatever your thoughts, whatever your feelings, whatever your actions have been in that lifetime, they then predetermine, uh, you know, uh, your way forward. What is actually required for you to grow spiritually? Do you need to go through more painful states of the mind? Do you need to go through more misery actually to finally find that what we call as absolute peace or unconditional happiness or unconditional love? So that is how this law of karma at the personal level, it is also there at the level of the family, it's also there at the level of the country, it is also there at the level at the universal level, as Shri Aurobindo Ghosh and many other ancient other sages have actually explained. But let us just look at it at the personal level. This is how the law of karma at the personal level ties to our own individual actions. And as a result of those actions, it predetermines what is actually required for us to grow spiritually until finally we reach the state of what we call as self abidance or self absorption, in which not only the changeless reality being consciousness is realized, but everything actually, including the law of karma, is realized to be that same identity. Finally, you are able to, you see, no longer see the snake on the rope, but you see that same rope everywhere. And this actually is not a theoretical discussion. This is something which, through your personal sadhana, through your personal, good or bad acts, through your own spiritual discourse, through your own spiritual journey, finally you actually reach this point where everything is realized to be the one same reality, and that's where peace ensues, and that's where actually you see your spiritual journey comes to an end, and that is where the law of karma has actually shaken hands and tied in with what we call as self-abidance or self-absorption. So anyway, this was just a brief flow of thoughts, as they were sort of coming. Damodran ji is going to give us a good discussion in this, and feel free to, come in with your thoughts, your feelings, and discuss as we go along. Because as I've always said, that the spiritual get together is a mutual discussion, so that everyone can actually participate in that and grow, not just one individual or two individuals just speaking or discussing. So with that, Damodaranji, can you please take over?
As usual, I like to begin this satsang with 3 omkars. So all of us, please join. I'd like to offer my humble pranams at the feet of my Guru and Govind Sai. I'd like to offer pranams at the lotus feet of Maharishi Bhagwan Ramana. And pranams to Anil ji for guidance. And a very special thanks to Rajiv Arora for coordination and technical support on our ongoing satsangs. And pranams to Vijay ji as well. This is a subject, it's a very broad and a very wide subject which could be dealt and understood in various means. I'll try to begin with this as the understanding that we have towards it from the highest absolute reality. When we think of the highest absolute reality, that is the pure absolute truth that we call Brahman or self, there is no karma in that. Because there is no birth, there is no death, and therefore there is no karma there at all. It is just like when you see a screen, the screen in itself has nothing. It is only when we witness the pictures that we see the movements, the activities, the joy and the sorrow and all this. However, when we bring it down from the absolute reality to what we call, or the way the best understood, is the relative reality. That is this world, this body, this mind, these senses. This is where the karma application comes in. There are different kinds of laws that governs this universe. as even Anilji has mentioned, um, there are law of gravitation, there are law of every other things, but the most essential and the important law that governs the whole universe from the time of creation till present, till its very end, is governed by the law of karma. And this is where um, the great teachings of the great sages, the avatars of past and present, that we like to share those thoughts with you. Some people who might not agree with the way the religions and the philosophies put the meaning of karma, but there is one thing which they cannot ignore, they cannot avoid, which is the suffering. The suffering that people undergo every day, and they all like to avoid the suffering, and their all their activities, consciously and unconsciously, knowingly or unknowingly, is leading towards peace and true happiness. And that will ultimately lead one to self-abidance in the very end of their journey. So today I will touch on the nature of karma, the types of karma, and also the mystery of karma. This, as I said, is according to the teachings of our Shastras and the great realized sages of our land, right from the north till the south, from the Himalayas of Rishikesh, namely sage Shivanandaji, to the sage, great sage of current time, Sage Ramana Maharishi. So these are some of the teachings that has been brought light to show. Literally, karma is an activity and a movement, how everyone is engaged in that type of karma. There are different types of karma that are mentioned in our Shastras, which I will not go into detail. I mean, they are regarded as sakama karma, vikarma, sukarma, and nishkama karma. However, I will touch the very essence of those types as we go along. The most important part that we actually highlight is about the type of act we do, the activity that we take on from the time we wake up and we go to sleep. It is either taking us towards the life, to be more active, or to become inactive, leading towards the death. There are two extremes of the life. One is birth and the other is death. According to our Shastras, that when a baby is born, there is no necklace around the neck of that baby. There is no gold necklace or a silver necklace or diamond necklace. However, at the time of death, so at the time of death and birth, God appears. God appears at the time of birth and puts around the necklace of all his past karma, that is the past consequences that has to be undergone through this lifetime. And at the time of the death, God appears to withdraw the life, and takes that soul to a different level of existence. This is a gist of how the karma is played. And this is where people starts to think about the question that arises, as I mentioned earlier, suffering. Everyone wants to avoid suffering. This is the very crucial part. I will take the teachings of Lord Buddha. He mentioned the way that we can understand that the meaning of suffering is through two arrows. He mentioned about two kind of arrows that relates to the suffering and the suffering of everyone, regardless of which background you come from. One arrow is what the world around you throws at you. It could be in the terms of sickness, issues, conflicts, problems, challenges in relationship, in family, in workplace, everywhere. This is one kind of the arrow that's been thrown at you. And the other arrow is within you. That is how you react to that, how you reflect it, how you resound with it. This is the arrow that is comes from within. Obviously, there is no control over the first kind of arrow, because we never know when and how it can affect us. At least we have control to the inner arrow, which is how we can feel. I'll give you an example in the life of sage Ramakrishna Prahamsa, where one of the devotees said, you are not able to eat. In the very end, he was suffering from throat cancer. He said, you are suffering. He said, yes, there is pain, but there was no suffering. Then the other disciple said, you look very blissful. You look very serene. That is when he said, yes, I am in that state of reality. So he was referring to that second arrow, which he has fully control in. He cannot do anything about the first arrow, which the body goes through, but you can always manage and deal with the second kind of arrow. And this is in our control, and this can be best handled through a spiritual way of life, the spiritual attitude, and the spiritual applications that we might have in our day-to-day life. In terms with, there's another thing I want to touch before I go into the application of karma in the best possible way, possible by the means of the sacred teachings. There's one thing which I like to mention is about the mystery of karma. You see, the word karma, we would always think that it is a punya karma or a papa karma. That means it is leading us to some benefit or some pleasantness or unpleasantness. As I mentioned earlier, that the consequences that's been there will have to be undergone. It is mentioned in our Shastras that it is when you plant a seed in the soil, there is a possibility that due to the nature of the soil or the nature of the seed, it may or may not grow into a plant. But the action of a person, any action that we undertake, it bears its fruit, it bears its consequences. And the mystery here is that How the result will come, in which form and shape it will come to affect us, we do not know that. We do not exactly know in what form and what shape that effect or the consequences will come to hit. According to the Puranic stories, we hear about sometimes, the sages, they bless their devotees and people, or they curse them. And we can see some effects, how they are carried out. However, the deep mystery of the workings of karma is only known to the Supreme Being. However, there is one thing I would like to share, which we all know, that the effects of karma is not something which anyone can compromise with. As I said, one has to bear it in that very given lifetime. The only source that can cancel and override that karma that one has to going through is the grace of the Guru or the grace of God. And also it's mentioned in one of the sacred texts called Bhagavad Gita, is that when one has reached to the ultimate jnana, which means the highest realization of full enlightenment, that's when one's all karma is burned to ashes. There's no karma left. So these are some of the ways. Sometimes when we see in the lifetime of our some gurus, that they take upon the karma of their disciples or some other people just to help them in their progress. So these are, as I said, these are very mysterious things. One cannot fathom and pinpoint exactly why it is happening, when it is happening. But as one becomes realized, as one becomes enlightened, one is able to see the workings of karma in their life as well as in the lives of whom they come in touch with. I will now move towards an important part which we call the applications of karma. The applications of karma can be put into three main categories, even though there are so many innumerable categories how people apply their karma. So I will touch upon the three main things that have been highlighted in our Shastras. One is called the path of Jnanam, which is the Jnana Marga, or you can say Jnana Yoga. The other is the path of Bhakti Yoga, or the path of devotion. And the third is the path of Karma Yoga, which is the path of action. At least one person to live a life like a Karma Yogi. In the light of Jnana Yoga or Jnana Marga, the way the action is dealt here by a very adept spiritual aspirant, he only sees this as and remains as a conscious witness. Is a conscious witness to everything that is happening around him. He's not attached to any actions. Happening here means he only witnesses everything that goes with his body, his mind, his senses, and he only remains as a witness. It doesn't mean that he remains inactive. It doesn't mean that he's not doing his normal duties. He's undertaking everything, but he's very conscious that he is only a conscious witness in around these activities. And the second is the path of Bhakti Yoga, where the devotee has surrendered to his beloved Lord. And it is like the word says dasoham, which means he has become merely a servant and an instrument of his Lord. And therefore, there is no karma attached to that because he only takes it as the play of the Lord and he does as if it is the will of God, will of his Guru. And this is the devotion path in which one undertakes the karma, where the karma is not affecting. And the other path is called the path of karma, which is the path of action, or finally, as we could feel that it is for a karma yogi, where he do not desire for the fruits of his action. No matter what action he undertakes, there is no attachment to the fruit of any kind, and therefore the karma doesn't bind them. So these are some of the applications where a disciple, a devotee, or any sadhak who undertakes in the path of self-realization and self-abidance, and that he would um, use these methods and conducts his life in this dharmic way to overcome karma. And this has been very beautifully demonstrated in the quotes of Bhagwan Shri Ramana Maharishi. And this is where I would like Rajiv Bhai to bring that quote. So the idea here is that we have to transform our karma, our action, like a flower that gives us fragrance. Let us read together with this. This says, the obstacles to peace is several. So here Bhagwan means when you conduct your act with the highest form of result, which is peace. They are meant to prove men when they confront us, we should be wide awake and keep wide awake here means that we should be in our full self-control, full awareness to keep the delicate flower of the mind distant from even their shadows. Shadows here mean that negativities, their darkness, that everything that will pull us down to bondage, pull us down into darkness. So this is what the sage here means, that we have to be very alert, very awake to keep that delicate flower, that flower of our day, every moment of our action. If the flower of the mind is crushed, it will lose its fragrance, freshness, and color. It will neither be useful to you, nor can it be presented to others or offered to God. So this is so beautiful here, where the Bhagwan says, once you pollute your actions with any kind of violence or wrong motives or wrong attitudes, then that flower of that beautiful action that you have acted is been destroyed. He says, know that your mind is more delicate than even a blossom. By means of a peaceful mind, all, all your duties to yourself and to others and to God must be discharged. So he gives us a direction how we should conduct our activities. Let it release the same freshness throughout. All blessings for the mind are contained in peace. Thank you, Rajivji. So, friends, here are one of the gifts which which where Bhagwan shares. Ramana Maharishi even comes down to the level of activities to show how important it is if we want to progress in our spiritual enlightenment. And I would say at this point in time, if there is no questions, I would getting close to the timing, and I would like to share one more important way of path of Bhagwan Ramana Maharishi. The first one where he says that the best way to practice the very essence of self-abidance is when you are always have that attitude is what I like is to know who I am. And nothing more, nothing less, but to remain as I am. This is very beautiful. It's very, very, very deep. And he says, with the knowledge, when we have the knowledge of the entire mystery of what law that governs us and governs this universe, that is the law of karma. Here Bhagwan puts it that what is to happen will happen. So what is you are been destined to happen will happen. So even us having this satsang here is part of that happening. So what is to happen will happen, and what is not to happen will not happen. So one will not undergo anything which one is not destined to. And there is another slide which I would request Rajiv to bring up, is finally where Bhagwan says, because we take the path of jnana, as I said, one should remain as a witness to whatever happens, witness as a conscious witness that we are that pure consciousness, that we are the self. We are always the self. If we can remain in that attitude as a witness to whatever happens and adapting the attitude, let whatever strange things happen, let us see. So remember how I mentioned about the second arrow, and we just have to wait and see how we deal with it. And these are some of the very practical way where Bhagwan actually shows how one should practice our day-to-day life. This should be one's practice. This is what Bhagwan says. And I was so grateful the grace was flowing in the final preparation of this satsang. And there are few other things which I would like to share. And this is also very relevant. And I take it from the words directly of my own Guru and Govind Sai, where we have to always understand things that are in our control and there are things that are not in our control. Like the past is gone, it's beyond recovery. The future we are not sure of. The only given moment is this present. And if we conduct ourselves in this present moment and sanctify our thoughts, our words, and our deeds in a sacred way, in a holy way that is beneficial to our progress, to our spiritual enlightenment. This present is not a normal present. It's been regarded as the omnipresent. The present has been given a name which is been enshrined in Bhagavad Gita, which is called a seed. See, this seed is the result of the tree of the past, and this seed will be the result of the tree of the future. So if we pay our attention, our alertness, our focus always in our present moment, in our present time, we can definitely modify our destiny, and we can keep in control, in alignment with our progress towards our spiritual enlightenment. And these are some of the very few things which I've just highlighted how important the karma is. It's also been revealed in our shastras that the present body that we have, that a good looking, a very healthy body, it is nothing but the result of our karma. So this present karma that we are going through is preparing our body for our next life. So it is a matter of a very important that we do pay attention to every action that we do. And one of the very famous and very simple application that is enshrined in my own heart is to help ever, hurt never, love all, save all. This is, with these few words, I would like to now hand over to Brother Vijayji. If he likes to summarize, if there is something, then we can actually have an open discussion in according to times. Thank you.
Hari Om everyone. We'll just start with three ohms. Om. 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 This topic of law of karma and self-abidance is very relevant because it applies to every single person, including those who are spiritual aspirants on the path of spirituality who want to reach that state of self realization, self abidance, and self absorption. Uh, this topic, law of karma, is something that is applicable to a person who is a doer. Anybody who considers that I am doing this and doing that, karma is applicable to that. And this is has been clearly stated by Bhagwan Ramana Maharshi in his teachings when devotees came and asked him that question, what is karma? So now taking one step back regarding karma itself, what is the law of karma? So the law of karma itself is such that it has certain connotations to it because that is the conditioning that one person who is an individual body mind, when that person is functioning, the effects of the reaction that takes place through every action of that person causes certain vasanas to be formed, and that forms a karma called agami karma, which goes and sits into a cauldron which is called the sanchita karmas. And through that sanchita karmas, in this present body, there is a certain section called the prarabdha karmas that are allocated to this body mind as a conditioning for functioning in this lifetime for that body mind. So when any circumstance or any situation arises for that individual, it depends on the person whether that person is able to respond to it without any attachment. If that is the case, then an agami karma will not be formed for the future to be added to the sanchita karma, the cauldron. Whereas most of the people have a tendency to react to any circumstance that is there. And when that doership is there, the I is there, and that action is performed with the I, the ego, automatically the agami karmas, a karma is formed, which then adds to the cauldron to come back as prarabdha karma. And that forms the cycle, the wheel of cycle of birth and death. That is the gist of what uh, the law of karma is. So, when this this whole what we have just discussed is there, what do we do? What can we do to try and prevent any additional karmas to be formed? So these are all the then all you have all the practices. The karma yoga is one where selfless action is there. Then you have the as Damodranji was saying, jnana yoga and bhakti yoga. So these are all various aspects and various yogas that are there, various practices. There's also another one called japa yoga. All these help in trying to thin down the mind in a manner that the ego gets reduced considerably. So when this happens, the the mind gets thinner and thinner, and more peace ensues. When peace comes, the doership reduces, the ego reduces, and when that happens, the amount of agami karmas that are formed reduce. Given this background, a lot of devotees went to Bhagwan Ramana Maharshi and said, well, this karma, what is karma, and is this karma actually there? So Bhagwan Ramana Maharshi said, yes, karma is there. Karma definitely exists. The law of karma definitely exists, but only for those who considers that I am this body mind. As long as the ego is there, as long as the I is there, karma is present. The moment the ego dissolves, there is no such thing as karma at all. Because there is nothing to attach itself to. There is no one there for that any conditioning to attach itself. Then there was another question that was asked by devotees saying that this karma, how can we destroy the karma? How can we vanquish the karma? And is there a possibility of vanquishing the karma? So, Bhagwan Raman Maharshi, in a very succinct and a very crisp aphorism, he said that the destruction of karma exists within the very word karma itself. It allows for it. The word karma means the ego and the I existing. As long as the I is there, karma exists. If the karma is destroyed and dissolved by destroying the I, then you're free. Then the revelation of the truth of what you truly are reveals itself. And so what is the process is, from Bhagwan Raman Maharshi's perspective, inquiry, self-inquiry, jnana yoga. But a lot of people, it's not possible to do it. So there are other methods. So bhakti yoga is advocated. where you're trying to dissolve the yoga by surrendering, self surrender. So these are all aspects of how one can actually truly understand the law of karma, utilize your practices on the spiritual path to try and go beyond karma by destroying what is called the karma. But there was another aspect to it where Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi was asked the question about how do you actually destroy, uh, there's so much of, okay, I might, in this particular action that I'm doing right now, I avoid agami karma from forming. So my prarabdha karmas will all get vanquished, but there is a huge cauldron of sanchita karmas there, which will keep coming. How can we destroy all the karmas that are already pre-existing? So there is a story of this little boy who's there, who goes and is sitting there looking out of the window and watching this factory of cotton wool. And there are these, there's an old story where there are these camels going through and taking cotton wool and storing it in the godown, and the whole godown is filling up and filling up with cotton wool, and its entire factory is getting full. And this little boy who's sitting there and watching the scene says, "Oh my God, look at that factory! It is absolutely getting filled up with cotton wool." And he starts getting worried, and he starts feeling anxiety, and he feels completely distressed with the amount of cotton wool that is there in that factory, and he wonders how it's going to be even stored there with so much going in. So this wise old man is there. This is according to the story, who comes and is passing by, and he sees this worried look on this boy's face, and he goes and asks the boy. He says, what is the why do you look so worried?" And the boy says, "I'm really worried because you look at the amount of cotton wool that is there. How are you going to get, how can you get rid of it? How can you destroy all that?" So he said, "It's very simple. So you got all the cotton wool going there and sitting down, right? Simple. Just take a matchstick, light the match on the cotton wool, all the cotton wool is gone." "Ah," says the boy, "I've lit that lamp, light the matchstick, and now all the wool is gone, destroyed. Thank God," he says, and completely relieved. All the tension, all the anxiety, everything is gone. The story is relatable to our mind. Our mind is being stored with all the cotton wool of conditioning throughout our lives, adding more and more and more and more. And how do we destroy it? How do we get rid of all the conditionings? How do we get rid of this doership, this I, this ego? By lighting the lamp of jnana, lighting the lamp of inquiry, lighting the lamp of self surrender. When that lamp is lit, it destroys completely all vestiges of the ego, the I, the conditionings. And when that happens, the revelation of the truth of your true nature reveals itself. There is nothing to attain there. All what is not required gets destroyed, dissolved. That is the beauty of how self inquiry can be lit in the heart of your own self. And when that inquiry takes place and one goes right down to the very source from where that I comes, the I is revealed as nothing. There is no I, the little I. There is only that I of pure awareness, the I of absolute consciousness, the I of Satchit Ananda. That is the truth. And that has to be applied by each individual who considers oneself as this ego. When that doership drops away, then that's it. There is no question of any karma as per Bhagwan Raman Maharshi's teachings. And he said that very, very clearly. So use this very law of karma to dissolve karma. Hari Om Tat Sat.
Yes, surely. I think, thank you, Vijayji. Vijayji has summarized it very beautifully. He has touched on that uh, uh, part of law of karma, is explaining the structure of karma as well as the very essence part, which actually is applicable in all the paths when undertakes, whether you take the path of Jnana Marga, Bhakti Marg, or Karma Marg, or any Marg, the most key thing which has been highlighted here is the doership. Once the doership notion is gone, then you are simply just a witness of your own true self. You are just the witness as the player of the divine. You are just the witness of your own activity unfolding its own result without binding you. And you remain as selfless, boundless, and changeless, timeless, spaceless self. Thank you, NLG. I open this forum. If there is any open discussions or any clarity that's required, I'm very fortunate that we have in the platform Anilji, Vijayji, Rajiv Bhai, and all other fellows, friends who can share if there is anything that needs to be clarified. As I said, this is not a subject that cannot be ignored. It is something very important and applicable. I always I always say this in a very joking way, that everything matters up till that point where nothing matters. So until we reach to that point, I guess everything does matter. Whether you can put it in a very poetic way, I know Rajiv Bhai is very good at putting things, but yes, it is sometimes you can enjoy this given thing as a play if you know the play, if you know the rules. I was kindly joking with some of my friends that, can you name a play on this planet which has without any rules? Without a rule, there is no game, there is no play. So these rules are only for the rules of our lives, how we can sanctify our lives, how we can um, progress in our life. Thank you, NLG, for giving me this opportunity. And thank you, Rajiv Bhai. You've been very helpful. And thanks everyone on the platform. And special thanks to Vijayji as well. Up to you,
Anyone wants
NLG.
to? Anybody would like to put forward what they think about the law of karma and self-abidance? Neeruji, would you like to say something?
Yes,
Yes. Yes.
Anilji and the devotees in the present in the satsang. So actually, it was all very well explained by the Damodranji and Vijayji. Right from the beginning of the satsang, the Damodranji explained that for the screen there isn't any rules. The rules is only for the images. So if you live a screen, there isn't any rules. So that should be our priority to um, focus, keep the focus on the screen to live as the screen, consciously live as screen. So then there isn't any worry. It's all very well explained. So um, I think there is nothing that I would add to this. So thank you
So
so much.
when you say, Niruji, live as the screen, but the images are still there. Isn't the screen appearing as the images only?
Um, so actually, from my own experience, it's like you are both. So you see that spaciousness, the presence, and the images arising and dissolving in it. So my body, whatever I do, what other people's do that I interact with, uh, anything that happens that arises from the screen which I am and dissolves back into the screen. So once you are the screen, then you are beyond the images. So the rules apply on the images. So if you live as beyond the images, even though you are like in your body mind kind of a perspective, you are an image as well and interacting with other images. But since like when you transcend this, then a bigger picture of that is that the that state, I wouldn't call that as experience, because experience starts and then ends. So I don't call that living like this is an experience. It is a state. It's actually our natural state, and it is already there, present. So one has to reveal it. And then to live as that. So once you live as that state, which is actually already there, all right, we just have to find it, and then you can't leave it. Once that's there, then it's your 100% your state. So then you can't escape it, right? Just like how you can't escape your body mind, you can't escape other people who interact with you. You can't escape your mind, because you need mind when we are talking. All that mental activity also has to go on, because we are not a stone, right? But when we transcend this, all this mental activity, all that physical interactions and everything. So when we transcend this, that bigger screen is there, and we are that. So once we are that, then all these little images, even though that's on the surface level, that is our reality till the time we are, we have death. So till that time is okay. We can engage with that 100%, and there isn't any problem. But all the time, that bigger part of our reality is there, which we cannot escape. All right. So when we are so totally one with that, that means one with that, and also one with the form, like like the body mind and what all the work that we have to do. So we are one with all, both of these, you would say, the ways that reality is present, right? The changeless and ever changing ways the reality is present. So when we are like that both of us, both of those are us, right? So then the bigger part of the reality is actually, it is much bigger. It's beyond that ever-changing part of the reality. So the idea is that when we are that you call it a screen, or you call that reality, then I call that presence or spaciousness. So when we are that, then that's beyond karma, that's beyond the ever-changing things that are all happening in it, like movements. So movements are happening, so that comes and goes, and all the time that show is happening, right? But when you transcend that, then that's your main state. So
Yeah.
I think that's not
Yes. Yes. Naturally, I mean, when you identify with the screen and
yeah,
then the images are playing on the screen, you see,
yeah,
fair enough. But not taking away the fact that the images are still playing
yeah,
on the screen, right? And that's where this law of karma actually comes into. Thank you, Niruji. Rajivji, would you like to put your what is your opinion about the law of karma and self-abidance?
Thank you, Anilji, and thank you to all the wonderful presentations we have had. Frankly, I'm humbled by the fine points presented. And yes, it is a matter of one's practice that you gradually, as you are also mentioning, get to the stage you realize that you are the screen, and you can gradually stay that way. Yes, the images will play, but you are gradually getting to the point where you're very steady with it. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Pramit Shetty, are you there? Hello, Pramit ji.
He's there in the room. Whether he responds, we don't know. He's there in the room. Thanks.
Okay. He is there. Yeah. Okay. All right. Anyone else would like to put forward what they think about the law of karma and self-abidance and how they two connect with each other? Chandaji is also. Everyone seems to be quiet. Can you see Chanji there?
Chanchi is there in the room, but I don't know whether he's able to get to it.
Okay. We can't hear you, Baheti ji. Yeah, please, I think unmute yourself.
So no, I think it's a very interesting topic, and I really wanted to hear about what everyone has to say about law of karma, because this is something that we have been raised in our culture to, always do good karma, do this thing, this is good, this is bad, punya, pap, and all those things. And I think after associating myself and learning more and more about this from everyone every day, I just feel that really it's is, as you know, it was there in one of the posters as well. You just live as is, you just accept whatever is there, you don't have to delve into anything. just just go with the flow. Acceptance is the highest thing that you can have, to not think about what is good and what is bad, and just continue with it. Not get associated with any good or bad karma or good or bad deed, because again, it's an act which will again associate you with more and more things. So just stay with that screen, as Neeruji was saying, that you are that screen, and all these passing images, good or bad karma, let them just go. So that's what I've been trying to do as a practice. Not, it's hard. It's not something that I can do naturally. So it's a practice that I'm doing, and it's just a good. It's very good to keep hearing these things, so that we can, I can one day fully imbibe into it. So yeah, that's really my thought to it.
Okay. So, hello, yes.
Hello.
You want to say something? Yeah.
Namaste. So
Yeah.
I think everyone has spoken about the screen, and I think the topic of karma was more around the images. So my biggest getaway, and which is known but it's a reinforcement, is that the second arrow which Damodran ji was talking about, that is the key when we are talking about the law of karmas, which is the reaction and response. That is where when we go towards neutral, or where we go towards a zero reaction, zero response, then basically we do not create more karmas. So that I thought was the biggest takeaway from what Damodaran ji said after the initial background and the context which he set up, which is we are not talking about the screen but only about the images.
Yeah. Excellent. Yeah. So, thank you, Rajiv ji. Yeah.
I said, when we are dealing with something in this janma, maybe, then is it past karmas we are settling, or we are creating new ones? How is it? How do we know the mathematics?
Yeah.
Though I have
Vijay ji?
understood that accept and take yourself as a screen, so that we don't make
Yeah.
further. तो जो
Yeah.
अभी हो रहा है वो पहला वाला सेटल हो रहा है या और नया क्रिएट हो रहा है?
Yes, Vijay ji, you want to answer that?
Yeah, so Binduji, basically whatever circumstance is being presented to you is supposed to be from the It's prarabdha karma which is being given to you for this lifetime. You don't have a
Okay.
choice
Yes.
in that,
Yes.
because that's just coming, is presenting itself to you. Based on that, depending on the response or the reaction of that individual, then that will either
Okay.
lead to a new karma, or agami karma, whatever they call it, or a new karma or no karma at all.
Okay.
That is the thing. But this is a constant process. Because this is a constant process, and you keep, if you're responding and you're doing that, acting in a very, very equanimous manner, and acting as the screen, uh, as to say, as a practice, then you're not, it's good because you're not creating any new karmas. But there is so much of karmas that are already there from the past,
Backlog.
which are
Backlog.
backlog, which is there, which are already there, which are supposed to come. So that was the second part of my, when the discussion that we had, where I said that Bhagwan Raman Maharshi said, how do you get, he explained how that can be totally got rid of at one go, rather than continuously going on and on. But for that, you need to set up your mind and do all the practices up front to try and thin out the mind, rather than, because if a person tries to do self inquiry, it's very difficult. So the conditionings have to be reduced, and the mind has to be more one pointed and thinned out. That is why
Focus.
all these practices are there. Why do you think all our scriptures have so many tons of various practices provided? It is only to thin out the
Okay.
mind, not to actually attain anything. It is only to thin the mind down, to try and reduce the fluctuations of the mind. Once that happens, then you can automatically fall into that self inquiry or self surrender. One doesn't
Correct.
need to then do any self surrender. One doesn't need to do inquiry. Automatically it happens.
Okay.
So
Thank you
yes,
so much.
yes,
I thought most of it is answered.
yeah,
Whatever I had
Minudi,
three
yes,
questions, they are already answered.
yes. Minudi, let me actually answer this to you. The answer is very deep, actually. You see, when Ramana Maharishi was asked that what is his real spiritual experience, he said that my spiritual experience cannot be put in words. That's why he used to call, you see, Suma Iru, or silence, as being the ultimate reality. Because you see, the core teaching actually is that when practically you realize that not only you see the changeless reality is the self or consciousness, but also when it is practically and fully realized that every image which is appearing on the screen, whatever it may be, whether it is the law of karma or it is someone explaining the law of karma, it is none other than the same reality in its other aspect of what we call as the wondrous nature or the changing reality. So when everything, whether the screen or the images playing on the screen, is realized as the same identity, what they call as that, you do not see the snake anymore on the rope, but the rope is identified everywhere. That is the self, or the changeless reality consciousness, is identified everywhere as being the one, whether you see it as an image or you see it as the changeless self. That's the point at which everything is exhausted. Until this is practiced, understood, and actually fully realized and lived while we are alive, you see, we will continue on our spiritual path of discussions. And that is really the absolute and the ultimate answer, because that is how Ramana Maharishi lived. That is why he treated everything with equality, whether it was a tree, a stone, or a human being, because for him, everything was that same reality. It did not matter in what form or how it came, right? And there are practical methodologies and practical ways in which one can actually acquire that. So this is where one has to eventually arrive. And that's what Vijayji is saying, thinning. You see, thinning means that there is no gap between the self, the screen, the image on the screen. And that's where the witness too dissolves. And that's where what we call as clarity is also no longer required. That's the natural state, or what we call as Sahaj Sthiti. But that's a little bit beyond the current
Topic, yeah.
topic of our discussion. Yes.
Thank you so much.
That's okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Vijayji, you're saying something?
Just that Raman Maharshi used to have, when you spoke about silence, Anilji, it's a very, very interesting thing because silence itself is where is the root from where everything arises. And as they say, wisdom, when you say wisdom dawns, because wisdom is your true nature, wisdom dawns. When you say, you look at that word itself, it's wise,
Yeah.
dumb.
Yeah.
When a wise person is typically dumb because he's
Yeah.
always in silence, doesn't need to talk because you cannot express truth, through the language of communication. It is
Yeah.
only to discuss and point out. That's all one can do. Point
Correct.
out to the truth.
Yeah.
Truth cannot
Yeah.
be taught.
Correct. Correct. Yes. That's right. Yes. Anyone else would like to join in? Uh, we had a good discussion today. Damodranji, you want to say something?
Finally, I want to say that we have touched on some of the very applicable things that's leading to karma, as well as how to get out of the karma. In this stage of this so-called world, there is always an entry and an exit door. So we have discussed both the doors in very open manner. And I think the lights which been thrown by everyone actually leads and shows how well we can progress towards the choice that we have. It's very important what choice we make in every moment of our life. The choice is what decides whether you want to remain or you want to exit. So if you remain, that means you remain in the play. The play has got its rules. If you abide by those rules, you can remain very peacefully and very happy. It is a drama of the Lord. Remember one thing, that it is just a drama of the Lord being created as an illusion or a maya. If you understand the ifs and the buts and the pros and the cons of this maya, you are in a very happy state of mind. But if you want to destroy your mind, if you want to end the game, you want to go back and remain and be absorbed in the screen, that option is also available as the exit door of the play, which means your images will not come back on this play, on this platform anymore. So I leave with one word: it is your choice.
Thank you, Damodranji. Okay, Vijayji, can we say the closing prayer and then we will
Yes, yes.
bring our discussion to an end? But just before you do that, so our next spiritual discussion will be next month in the second Sunday of October, which will be the last for this year, and then we will resume again in February next year. Yes, yes, Vijayji. Okay.
Yes, yes. So we will just conclude with a closing prayer, which is a special occasion. Just we had two. We are going to be. We just there was just a completion of recently of the puja of Ganapati, Ganesha, and soon there's going to be the Devi uh, 9 days worship also going to come. So we'll just say a few shlokas. ॐ गजाननं भूतगणादिसेवितं कपित्तजम्बूफलसारभक्षणम् उमासुतं शोकविनाशकारणं नमामि विघ्नेश्वरपादपङ्कजम् सर्वमङ्गलमाङ्गल्ये शिवे सर्वार्थसाधिके शरण्ये त्र्यम्बके गौरी नारायणी नमोस्तुते सृष्टिस्थितिविनाशानां शक्तिभूते सनातनी गुणाश्रये गुणमयी नारायणी नमोस्तुते शरणागत दीनार्थ परित्राणपरायणे सर्वस्यार्ति हरे देवी नारायणी नमोस्तुते. O adorable Lord of mercy and love, salutations and prostrations unto thee. Thou art omnipresent, omnipotent, and omniscient. Thou art Satchit Ananda. Thou art the indweller of all beings. Grant us an understanding heart, equal vision, balanced mind, faith, devotion, and wisdom. Grant us inner spiritual strength to resist temptations and to control the mind. Free us from egoism, lust, greed, hatred, anger, and jealousy. Fill our hearts with divine virtues. Let us behold Thee in all these names and forms. Let us serve Thee in all these names and forms. Let us ever remember Thee. Let us ever sing Thy glories. Let Thy name be ever on our lips. Let us abide in Thee forever and ever. Let us abide in Thee forever and ever. Hari Om Tat Sat.
Thank you, Vijayji. So with that, we'll bring this spiritual get together to a close. We can stop the recording, Rajivji.